Yeah!
Your lens is really steamy, sorry. It's gonna be a little weird. And today, we're gonna be looking at solving equations. Okay, so first of all, happy merry day to you. Before we start, I want you to take your paper and draw a smiley face. We're gonna do this at the start of every session because our mind is just as important as the work we're doing. So we're getting the right frame of mind before we begin. So take your favorite pen or pencil, go to the top right of your paper, and if you will kindly get your smiley face in position, and then we will begin on solving one-step equations. Okay, so in our first example, we have x minus 3 equals negative 2. And the number one thing you'd want to remember when we're solving equations is the objective is to get the letter by itself. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways we'll get there. We're going to go over a whole bunch of different ways to get there. But I promise, if you just remember these two rules, get the letter by itself, and what you do to one side, you must do to the other, you win all of this, all of it. So let's get started. All right, number one, we're gonna just start off with some simple ones just so you get the principle, and then we'll go to things that are a little more difficult, okay? I don't even want to say the word difficult. We'll go to other things that are a little more growth-inducing. Okay, so x minus 3 equals negative 2. All right, notice that your negative 2 is already by itself, and x minus 3 is the only thing on the other side. So what I'm looking at is this part right here. We want to get this bad boy out of the way, because once it's on the other side of the equation, x is by itself, and we're done. So what I'm going to do is do the exact opposite of whatever this is. This minus 3, okay? So the opposite of subtracting 3 is adding 3. So let me show you what that'll look like. If I add 3 here, and I've got to add it to the other side. So every time I do something in an equation, I've got to do it on both sides of the equation. And when I say both sides, I mean both sides of the equal sign, okay? So if I add 3 here, I've got to add 3 on this side of the equal sign too. All right, I'm gonna put a giant line underneath it just so we can just add the totals up, okay? So if I do, I'll bring the x down because I didn't do anything with it. So bring x down. Minus 3 and plus 3 is 0. So 3 minus 3 is 0. Simple. So I'll just scratch those out because it's already zeroed out. Bring down the equal sign. Negative 2 plus 3 is, take your time, and you probably already know the answer. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. Now, before I do anything else, I'm just gonna make a copy of this down here. Or actually, I won't make a copy of it. I'm gonna cheat a little bit and just move it because I'm on an iPad. So move this on down here. Okay, now let's look at our equation. Is x by itself? Does it have anything else attached to it? No, that's right. So x is by itself now. So you have a clear statement, x equals 1. And ta-da, that's it. You're done. That's it for number one. These really are pretty simple once you learn the rules, but we're gonna work plenty of them. So let's go to another one, because the key to math is the same as like lifting weights. Just to do a bunch of it. And if you didn't get that first one, that's okay. Like, that's what we're here to do, just practice. So we're gonna do a bunch of these, okay? All right, let's go to number 2. Change colors. All right, number 2, let me look here in the book, because I pulled up a book full of practice problems so I wouldn't have to make up a whole bunch of them, because, I mean, if there's a whole bunch of them already out there, why make new ones? Okay, so, x plus 3 equals 4. All right, remember, the goal here is we're gonna get x alone, okay? So I'm gonna swap over to red. I'm looking at this plus 3 and I'm saying, oh Lord, okay? The plus 3 is in the way. This is what's in the way of my x. So I'm gonna do the opposite of adding 3, which is subtracting 3. And then I'm gonna subtract 3 from both sides, because I can't just subtract 3 from one side and leave it alone. What you do to one side, you must do to the other, okay? Gonna draw our giant bar down here. Gonna go ahead and bring down the equal sign, because the equal sign is always gonna be in the same place no matter what, period. So you can always bring down your equal sign. Plus 3 and minus 3. I'm scooching up here to see what I did up here. Okay, all right, I made the bar red up here. All right, plus 3 and minus 3 make 0, so those 0 out. And we're gonna be doing that every time. We really want to like zero out things, okay? I'm gonna bring down the x, and then 4 minus 3 equals 4 minus 3. Anybody? All right, cool. All right, hopefully you got 1 there, okay? All right, so 1. And then what I'm gonna do is cheat a little bit. I got my iPad, but you know, on your paper, you could just rewrite it. But ta-da, that looks like a completed answer because we have one nice statement, x equals 1. And it's gonna be the same thing every time with these one-step problems. You want like a nice clean letter equals something. So x equals blah, a equals blah, b equals blah. It doesn't matter. As long as you have a nice clean answer, just like this, you've already nailed it. So that's it for number 2. Now these next ones we're gonna kind of speed through because I think at this point you already get it. So we're gonna go a little bit faster. But if this is going too fast, just pause me, okay? All right, number 3, x plus 4 equals 4. All right, so you remember the rule. We're gonna try to get x alone. The opposite of adding 4 is cool, and I'm not gonna even say it. I'm just hoping you already got it. So I'm gonna subtract 4 from down here, and what I do to one side, I must do to the other side. So every time you do something to one side of an equation, and when I say equation, I mean the one side of the equal sign, you must do it to the other side of the equal sign, okay? These are the classic rules of math. So you subtract 4 from both sides, bring down my bar. I'm gonna bring down the x, because you can't subtract 4 from x. You don't know what x is. But you can subtract 4 from the 4. And so 4 minus 4 is 0, so I'm just gonna scratch those out. They cancel each other out. Bring down my equal sign. 4 minus 4 is 0. And I'm gonna actually just bring down the 0, okay? Why don't you just cross that one out, Mike? Well, because we need something on the other side of the equal sign. Now technically, every time I cross these out, you can really just put plus 0 there. There's no point in putting plus 0 on the x, because that doesn't mean anything. X plus 0 is still x. So that's why I don't do it on the x side, okay? If you had that question. But ta-da! We have a nice clean statement. X equals 0. When you have x equals something, it is a clean statement and it is done. Okay? If you have a nice letter equals blah, you've got a nice clean statement. What you don't want is like x plus something equals, or x minus something equals, or x divided by something equals, or x times something equals. Those are not clean. You want a nice clean statement. X equals blah. All right, let's go down to your next one. Number 4. Let's do 6 plus x equals negative 7. Okay? So the opposite, again, the goal is to get the x alone. I see that x has got 6 added to it, so I'm gonna be looking to get rid of that 6. So I'm gonna actually subtract 6 here and subtract 6 here. Boom. These cancel out, leaving plus x, which is just x, equals negative 7 minus 6 is negative 13. And ta-da, you got it. Nice clean statement. X equals a number. Remember, that's the goal of this whole thing. X equals something. You don't want anything plus or minus. And remember the rules. What you do to one side, we're going to do to the other side every single time. Very good. Okay. All right, let's scooch down to number 5. We're going to do this time x plus 4 equals 10. All right, so look here at your problem. What is attached to the x? And it's a plus 4. So the opposite of adding 4 is, that's right, subtracting 4. So you subtract 4 from this side. Remember, you must do it to the other side. So go ahead and do it there. Go ahead and bring down your equal sign too. I think it's a really good habit. That way you know what is a side, okay? The equal sign is what divides the problem. So bring down my bar. 4 minus 4 cancels out. Gonna bring down your x. Gonna bring down your equal sign. So x equals, and then 10 minus 4 is correct, 6. And I'm assuming I'm doing a little Dora the Explorer thing here and just assuming like you're actually saying it. So I don't know if you're really doing it, but whatever. All right, so x equals 6. And now we're done. It's a nice clean statement because we have x equals something with nothing else on the x side. And I know I'm repeating this, but that is the rule of math. Once you get these basic rules, you're home free, okay? All right, let's try something a little more challenging. Let's do x minus 10 equals 3, all right? This is the same rule, but we're gonna do a little bit different. Since 10 is being subtracted from x, right? We got a minus 10 on the x. We're gonna do the opposite of subtracting 10. So the opposite of subtracting 10 is adding 10. So I'm gonna add 10 to this side, and what you do to one side, you must do to the other. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring down the equal sign, that way you can see the other side. And then I'm gonna subtract 10 from this side too, okay? And that's the rule every single time. If you remember that rule, you can do whatever you want. In math, you can do whatever you want to one side as long as you do it to the other. It's just sometimes you make it more complicated if you do. But fine, minus 10 and plus 10 total out to make 0. So those two zero out, because 10 minus 10 is 0. And then 3 minus 10, and this is where you really need to know how to subtract negative numbers or how to add negative numbers. 3 minus 10 is negative 7. Now, if any of you have problems with adding or subtracting or dealing with negative and positive numbers, let us know, because that may be something we need to look at, because you gotta have that down to be able to start messing with algebra, okay? And then of course we bring down our x. X equals negative 7. We are finished because we have a nice clean statement. And remember, we've said a bajillion times at this point that a nice clean statement is x equals a number with nothing else over here on the x side. That's your key. You want a nice clean statement. Clean, okay? Very good. Now, let's scooch down and do one more, and then that'll be it for this tutorial. On our next tutorial, we'll mess around with multiplication and division of one-step equations. It's gonna be the same rules, but we're gonna do it a little bit different, okay? So, let's try x minus 4 equals negative 2, okay? The goal is to, I had to catch my breath. The goal, and I think I just wrote it in red. I didn't mean to do that. All right, we're just gonna go opposite this time. Okay, so x minus 4 equals negative 2, okay? The goal is to get your x alone. So, the opposite of subtracting 4 is adding 4, right? So if I add 4 to this side, I must add it to the other side. And remember, the other side simply means the other side of the equation divided by the equal sign. So I'm gonna bring the bar down. Negative 4 and 4, we've already talked about that's gonna cancel out, because 4 minus 4 is 0, so we can just throw it out. Bring down your equal sign immediately, every single time. It's gonna help you keep up with it so you don't throw anything away. So fine, equal sign's brought down. Negative 2 plus 4 equals 2. Is it a positive 2 or a negative 2? Positive 2, because the 4 is bigger. Remember that? And remember to practice your positive and negative numbers, super important. Bring down your x. X equals positive 2. You don't really have to have in the plus sign, so I'll actually rewrite this into x equals 2. And ta-da! You are finished, my friends. Okay, really good job. That was just adding and subtracting one-step equations. Look, if you made it through that, you've already done it. Congrats, really good. What I'm gonna do is here at the bottom of your page, I'm gonna give you 6 more practice problems you can do on your own. So let's do y plus 6 equals 9, x plus 3 equals 1, negative 3 equals a plus 4. Don't be fooled by this one being a little rearranged. It's the same process, no different. Y minus 3 equals 4, r minus 4 equals negative 2, and q minus 8 equals negative 9, okay? So you can work these out on your own. And I'll go ahead and leave this here for a second so you can pause the video and just work on them. I'm gonna put the answers underneath them now. So pause it now if you don't wanna see the answers, because I'm getting ready to write the answers. So please, like, pause it. Okay, hopefully if you're watching this, then that means you've already unpaused and you're ready to see the answers, because I'm about to write them. So if you haven't worked it out yet, pause it now. Okay, I'm assuming you worked it out. I'm about to write these answers. All right, here we go. All right, so over here, your answer is 3. Over here, your answer is negative 2. Over here, your answer is negative 7. Over here, your answer is 7. Over here, your answer is 2. And over here, your answer is -1. Okay? Hopefully you got those. If not, rewind the video, go look at how we worked the other problems, then come back to this and see if you can figure out what you could do differently this time, okay? Really good job, guys. If you made it this far, that means you are really working on it. Math is just like going to the gym. It ain't nothing but reps. Everybody who's been good at math has screwed up math, and that's the truth. Nobody starts math and kills it, okay? They kill it after practice. So get out there, practice, and stay awesome. Dab.